he's extremely hard on himself, which most really good quarterbacks are. So he didn't need a lot of extra motivation to continue to improve and build on some of the things they did really well for us last year and through the spring and through some of the things that we know we can continue to get better on. He has really good awareness. I think that's really important in this position, any position, to have awareness of the things that we know we got to work on and get better. And overall, I think just for him, just continue to build connection with his teammates and utilize his voice. So really happy with where he's at right now.
He's got such a great arm, obviously. I know you guys threw downfield. It seems like a lot more when he became the quarterback over Miller. What is it about just the way he can throw the deep ball that you feel like really fits in this offense? And does that maybe unlock something else in this offense this season?
Well, the first thing is he can throw football really far, And obviously when you are throwing verticals and posts and all those different type of routes down the field, getting a feel for the different type of receivers you're throwing to and getting experience and banking reps with those guys, whether it's something that's going to be a throw over the top or a back shoulder. But certainly, most young quarterbacks, when you dream of playing a position, you don't grow up like, I can't wait to throw bubble screens, slant routes. Slant routes are great set up, but anyway, obviously, he has a big arm, and he's really improved in understanding, throwing the proper trajectories and getting the timing and understanding of each player, and how they can, impact throws down the field.
Does that make it, when that is such a strength of his, does that make it even harder to step in when he did last year? He didn't have as much chemistry, probably, I would assume.
Yeah, and I think, as Jayden has grown in this system, and as he's continued to learn Coach Riley's a play caller, he's definitely getting a much better feel of those plays are going to come in this offense. We're going to have explosive plays. Look at the history of the system in the last 10 years. It's well documented. Explosive plays. Okay, let's just take what's there. And I think he took some giant strides this spring. Understanding it's okay to take a single, as we refer to it as a shorter route when it's open, especially when it's early in the progression. Knowing that in this offense, big plays are going to come.
Is it more common that you have to teach a guy to take the single, or that you have to teach a guy to, let it go and throw deep down?
I think naturally always, quarterbacks typically want to be aggressive downfield, specifically when you look at the type of skill sets that we have at receiver. And when defenses want to leave those guys one-on-one. We definitely feel like we do a great job of exposing them as they do that. And so naturally, quarterbacks, when you get in that situation, for us, each play call, each scheme has a specific design. And obviously, when you get into situational awareness, okay, what down is it? Okay, what are we trying to accomplish on this certain play call? Usually it lends to, all right, this one we're going to err on being more aggressive, or hey, we're calling this play, like this is where our progression starts. It's that. So I think just as overall general understanding of the system, being comfortable with it, and learning Coach Riley and how he calls the game, I just feel like he's taking great strides.
Outside of this really great arm talent that he has, what is it about Jayden you feel that makes him complement this offense so well?
He's got great toughness. I think, when you talk about a quarterback's DNA, the term resolve is important. And you look at a few situations that he was in last year where things necessarily didn't go our way. For example, the bowl game, and being able to battle back and string together two great drives to help us win a football game. So I think he has some of that mental toughness component of like, all right, regardless of how the play went or the previous series went, we're going to go back in there and continue to be aggressive, hopefully learn from those mistakes and move on. So I think that's a great attribute of him. And, he's definitely earned the respect of his teammates. And our entire quarterback room has, because I think we have a room of guys that really, really work and live, the core values of this program. And have certainly done a good job of elevating their voices to hold their teammates accountable. I think he's definitely earned the respect of not just the offense, but the whole football team with the way that he competes and just the way that he attacks everything he does day in and day out.
Can you talk about the benefit of seeing him going from last season kind of hoping to compete for the starting job now, assuming the starting role? What have you kind of seen how that's benefited him in the offseason preparation?
I just think, just utilizing his voice and connecting with teammates and taking on some of that ownership, and just some of the communication things that you see out there in practice or some of the summer training stuff. Just some of the things that you hear verbally from him to his teammates that a year ago, wouldn't have been in that situation, or may not have felt comfortable in that situation. But as he continues to master the system of this offense, it's been fun to watch his growth in that team and helping his teammates, whether it's a route depth or a certain route technique or a turn or some type of pre-snap communication. That's where you just see him from last fall to spring.
You talk about he's very hard on himself, and that can very easily, that be a detriment to a player. How do you guys kind of instilling that he keeps his confidence up, whether
just keep your chin up and move on to the next one. It's really, there's no magic formula to wipe it off. And Coach Riley does an amazing job in game and even in practice situations. All right, it's time to move on, turn the page, learn from it, get on to the next play, the next series. He's done a much better job of just staying composed, just making sure that the play didn't work out exactly how we wanted to. Let's fix it. Let's fix it and then move on. And that's a maturity thing too. And the good thing about a quarterback like that, as you start working through those type of situations, is you never have to worry about complacency. I got this. It's always looking to find ways to try to find ways to keep doing things better.
And that confidence has been raised within himself as well too.
I think there's no question about that.
Was there a moment like that you found him stewing over, especially last year? Even if you try to tell him, hey man, move on, it's harder for him to get over.
I don't think, I understand the question. I don't think there's a specific where it was just like that. I just think there's been a gradual improvement from that area, from just moving on to the next play and learning from it and going. And obviously the goal is to continue to cut out some of those plays. And that's obviously the big step that he's taken in this fall, some of those plays that may put him in that position. But certainly seen the growth from a maturity standpoint and going on to keep working towards achieving the goal of moving our offense down the field.
Jayden, would you say those turnovers are more back to him pressing or just the understanding of his offense being raised that should help him?
I think there's always a combination. In every one of those scenarios, we learn from them. And I think for us too, it's like our practice habits. Let's attack each rep in practice like it's the game. Really just playing with a tremendous amount of discipline. Certainly as you gain more and more experience in the system, you've banked reps with certain calls. You may get a look or something present itself and it's like, all right, I've seen this. I know how now to respond to this or move on to the next piece of progression. So I think it's all a combination.